Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. And motion sensor lights. Where are you? Haha. Yes. Yes. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I've got my lovely messy bun. This is my band outfit for today. So fashion. Today we are going to talk about how to add some more body to your equipment. So let's get to it. Alrighty folks, real quick, I'm going to try and fix my hair a little bit before we get started, just out of courtesy, because you guys deserve a better version of me than this. Maybe like a slightly neater bun, not quite so messy, but you know how that goes. Okay, dumpling, this will work. All right, so in here, I've got a couple of notes that I've taken, and I want to give you some ideas on how you can start experimenting with movement so that you can start incorporating it and weaving it into your equipment choreography, okay? The number one biggest thing is that you really need to start utilizing different tools to develop your improvisational skills. So if you feel like you are not so great at improvisation, that is okay. I am here to help you. Or if you feel like decent at improvisation, but you just want to keep working on that, I got you as well. So improv really is, it's first of all, it's like my favorite thing to teach, improv and how to like compose choreography. I love that kind of stuff. It was my favorite unit to teach when I taught middle school dance, and so I'm really excited to talk about this stuff. So I think a good starting point is to do things standing still, right? I'm going to take my shoes off. Like Mr. Rogers. Okay, so doing things standing still, and I have a couple of like things that you can, they're very basic, but we'll work with lines and curves, and then we'll talk about effort qualities. What is an effort quality? And levels. So lines, curves, and levels, right? So let's say if I'm working on creating stationary lines, how can I create lines in my body, right? They can go from extremity to extremity. And so just to like go over that, obviously, you know, it's the hands, it's the feet, and the head and the tail, okay? So thinking about all of the different ways I can create lines using the extremities as the endpoints, right? And then thinking about, okay, well, how many ways can I create shapes and also incorporate levels, right? So maybe a high level, high level, low level, maybe we've got middle, right? Just like thinking about not always being up, not always being down. People hate being down, so that's usually not a problem, but I love the floor. You know, just really like kind of when like you can pause this video and start to think about how you would create lines on the floor, right? Boom. So those are just some ideas. So the next thing would be taking that same concept, but instead of lines, you are creating curves. How can you create curved shapes in different spaces, right? You've got your arm, you've got your spine, you've got your leg. This is not really a curve, but you know, you can interpret that as a curve if you want, right? But it can also be like motion, curved motion instead of a shape, right? Low level, let's see. Maybe we've got, I think curve is honestly easier doing in motions, but you know, I don't know. I'm just kind of playing here. I'm just thinking about curves, right? So that's all I want you to think about. Thinking about different points of your body, feet. Wow, these are not your feet. Hands, feet, head and tail. Just thinking about like creating curves, but initiating with the different extremities, right? Wow. Ooh, that's okay. We lose our balance sometimes. Curve. Okay. Again, incorporating levels. And then the last thing would be to think about effort qualities, which is essentially just how you do something, right? Is it sharp? Is it soft or sustained? This is called a sustained. Choppy, right? Is it slow? Is it fast? You know, is it really heavy? Is it light? So just thinking about like, just if you were to improv and thinking about, okay, lines, well, let's stick with curves. So let's say, okay, curves, levels, and heavy, right? That sounds like gonna be challenging. So curves, you know, I'm thinking about levels. Okay, just play with it and see what happens. So now we can start thinking about, you know, if we were to, I was technically just traveling, but I want to make a clear distinction that I want you to think about things you can do, like if you were to have a standstill phrase, and then also like improvising across the floor and traveling, because obviously you're going to have to travel with the equipment, right? And thinking about different ways you can do that. Okay, here we go. So same concept, traveling using lines, okay? Right? Little leap, whoosh. You know, we're all familiar with this stuff, okay? But how can we then, you know, also whoosh? How can we continue to create lines, but also be dynamic and in exploring different levels while we travel? I think once you get into the habit of just playing with space and time, then you just kind of open up your mind to more choices that are inside of you, rather than just your, you know, your simple saute, passe, cone, and up, and you know, like I use those moves all the time too. Don't get me wrong, they have their place, but it's nice to mix it up. And just because you mix it up and make things different doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be hard. It just needs to be different, right? So for example, I just showed you that I did like, there was a move where I did a little inversion into the ground, and I think I went like this or something. You know, sometimes people will do that move with a leg in the air, but you can also like do it one leg, and you can have the leg low. So just try to think of, okay, well, how can I take a shape that people do all the time, but make it different? Just using those, the guidelines of the extremities, thinking about different extremities, thinking about the effort qualities, the levels, just stuff like that. Yeah. Mm. It's been a while since I've had gummy bears. I just went into the guard room to grab this, and I was handed some gummy bears by one of my lovely students. But now let's talk about how we can start to incorporate more body with the equipment using those concepts that I just talked about that you did without a flag. Okay, let's say if you're making a flag phrase, right? How can you incorporate more body? So again, lines, right? Woo! Sometimes you're ugly when you improv. It's okay. Okay, I'm just thinking about lines. I don't know what that foot was. Think about, levels. Woo. So how can you, there's lots of moments sometimes where I'm spinning and I'm like, how can I incorporate more body with this, right? So sometimes it's just me simply adding on like that little arm or like a leg where most times you wouldn't think to. I don't know, like it's not always going to be cute when you're experimenting, but wow, I'm really out of breath. But the important thing is that you just, you try and you see what happens. Woo! I feel like I'm too old for this sometimes. When I'm thinking about what I'm feeling and internalizing as I'm doing all of this is that like improvisation with a flag and really focusing on body, doing that doesn't feel very different than improvising like without a flag, because I'm just thinking about playing with space and time. And if you partner dance ever at all, like salsa or bachata or even two-stepping, it's like dancing. This is your dance partner, you're dancing with your flag and you're continuing to move with it. They're not two separate things that you stick on top of each other. They become one. Like sometimes the flag is contrary to your body, right? So if I'm like up and then I catch, that's contrary. Or sometimes it's it's a part of my line. Okay, so just making those choices and going back and forth and playing with that idea hopefully will help with that. Okay. And last but not least, do the same thing traveling, right? So if I'm thinking about curves, whoop, I don't know. Oh, and out. Boop. I don't know. I'm just trying to like think about curves right now. Da 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 da. And wah. Well, I feel like I'm doing lots of lines and stuff. I'm really trying to think of curves. Okay, that helps. Let's see. So if I were to do it across the floor, I like to do this with my students sometimes, but we'll play with space, right? So maybe we'll be high, then low, then high again, and then low. So just play with simple things like that. Give yourself different parameters that are very simple structures that you can play within, and see what happens. Wow. There's a certain charm to that, right? Okay. Number one, I'm a little out of breath, but that was fun. I hope that you found that helpful. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to expand on. I know that I mentioned effort qualities earlier when we were stationary, but think about that too when you're traveling with your equipment. Think about the heavy and the light and the sustained and the strong. Just playing with how you can do the same move but different ways will kind of spice it up and add different textures. I have a ton of different improvisational activities, games, ideas, because this is literally my favorite unit to teach when I was a dance teacher. So if you want more ideas, I'm probably going to try and maybe put some kind of freebie together or something. I don't know. I create things a lot going off of what you guys tell me that you need, because it gives me a direction to go in. And so please, put in the comments if you want me to expand on something else, if there's something more specific that I didn't address, let me know. Talk to me. Also, if you have other ideas and you want to share them because you feel good about what you do when you're improvising, put them in the comments. Let the community see it. Where I want this space to be a place where we can really help each other and learn from each other. Sometimes it's just nice to know that there is someone else on the internet that has a similar, does similar things as you, or see how they do something because it might be different. I feel like I don't see enough of that kind of color guard content on the internet. But also, like, I want to share other parts of me. I'm more than just a color guard director. I'm a mom, I'm a business owner, I am a leadership and movement coach. So I like talking about those things too. So if there's something else kind of pertaining to that sphere of things, let me know what you would want to see next. Lastly, I really want to continue to make free content for directors so that I can help them just expand on their skill set in any way that I can. And so if you found this video helpful, please share it with someone who you might think would need it, and give it a like. It's free and it helps the channel so much, and it really helps to kind of spread this content to other people like you and me who are just trying to be the best that we can for our students. And yeah, subscribe if you like this kind of stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye.